Good morning, everyone. Welcome to a Brilliant Businesses podcast. My name is Nick Bryant, and I'm very pleased to be back in the office today of Charles Cox Property Group, and I'm with the MD, Matt Cox. Hey, Matt.
Hi there, right?
Yeah, you?
Yeah.
Good to see
really
you again.
Good, actually, yeah.
Good. Now, just a bit of background on Charles Cox, a specialist in property management, block management, lettings, and property development, with offices now in New Haven, Eastbourne, Brighton, and now London.
Now London, yeah.
Now, we were saying earlier, it was a year almost to the day where we last spoke. And I know that lots has happened because I've spoken to a lot of your staff along the way where we've done interviews. But let's just hear your side of it about the growth, I guess, and what's happened in the last year.
Yeah, so we've continued to grow as a whole business and as a group as well.
Yeah.
Exciting things have happened. We've taken on lots of new clients, lots of high rises as well. Vicky, who's been on some of your other podcasts we've done here, she does our high rise buildings and registers them and all that sort of stuff. So that's really carved out a niche in that market.
I saw that. Have you got a new website? Quite new.
It's fairly new.
Yeah, because I saw the drone going over them. Yeah.
So we're constantly tinkering with the website.
Okay. Yeah.
So when you say new,
work in progress.
An evolution.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough.
And so we've kind of carved out a niche into the sort of high rises in the southeast as well.
Yeah.
And specialising in that. The lettings department has continued to grow. We've got some exciting. We're looking at an acquisition shortly as well. Which will probably come. I can't say too much about it, but it will probably come later in the year, maybe before the summer holidays. So that will
of another lettings company.
Yes,
right,
another lettings company. Nice. So that will expand the lettings business. But yeah, block management team wise, I think when we spoke last year, we were probably looking at about a dozen people, and now we're up to 20 odd dealing with block management. I think it's about 25 people employed in total, right, under Charles Cox. And lots of other exciting bits and bobs that have gone away, including the London office as well. We're trialling one up there at the moment. It's a serviced office type arrangement to see, the kind of uptake and interest in there. But it gives our staff for the properties we do manage up in kind of London and Croydon area somewhere to go and base themselves for the day or the afternoon or whatever and meet clients.
I think when you've got that London address as well, they should really open up the London market, right?
Definitely. Like with our governing body, we've kind of said we're covering London now and down to the southeast. So we're trying to push that a little bit.
Yeah. So have you got more properties in London now? Because mainly South Coast before.
Yeah. So our primary area was always Eastbourne to Brighton.
Yeah.
We go over to Hastings and down to Littlehampton, and then we went inland a little bit up to kind of your sort of Haywards Heath type area. But in the last year or so, we've always managed the odd thing in London, but we picked up a fair amount in London, and we're probably knocking on a dozen or so or more buildings, ranging from blocks of 50, 60 flats all the way down to little blocks of 4. So that's sort of led to the need for the London facility and office, really.
Yeah.
So.
Do you actively go out looking for work, or do people just inquire? Have you got sales guys on the road trying to get new? How does it work?
Well, I suppose my job has changed over the years. Obviously, I was a property manager in block management. We run our own lettings portfolio as well, so got the experience there. But as the business has grown, the need for marketing and growing the business is, business development manager style role has become like quite an important role in the business. So. That is mainly my job now, to go out and seek new opportunities, those acquisitions. Maybe if I see like a new development going up near one that we've already done, we already manage, to try and single that out, or like a landlord who's not happy with their little portfolio of buy-to-let properties. Network, go to lunches, all the rest of it. I'm trying to lose some weight at the moment because there's an awful lot of nice food and breakfast. So I mean, that primarily is kind of my role, really. At the moment, being the kind of marketeer, less operating the business, more trying to grow it. As time goes by, probably we'll have to get somebody in, but at the moment I'm a strong believer the person with the passion and the understanding of the business is probably me, best placed for that. And the staff around are really good at doing the kind of back office and managing it and dealing with the kind of influx of new inquiries and things. So I get that. If you don't have that structure in place below you,
then those things don't flow very well, do they? So, and that makes your life even difficult to go out and network and try and sell the business and talk about the business, because
it's exactly that. You know, I need to be confident that when I'm talking to a new high-rise building or any building at all, either a small one or whatever, that when they appoint us or the landlord chooses to let us rent their property or whatever, that I'm going to be able to filter that down to a decent team that's going to be able to deliver on what I've promised them. So I'm not over-promising and under-delivering, almost a case of under-promising, over-deliver.
Nice,
And that I've been very fortunate enough. The team is really strong now, and you know, we've got good people in place that are able to
25
to do that.
25 of them, right?
Exactly. And a good structure. You know, you've got like heads of departments, then you've got managers underneath them, and you know, and that filters down all the way down to kind of your admin staff level. So.
Admin staff, office managers, that sort of thing. Are you going to get any more offices? What's your plan?
Well, I think we'll see how the London one goes. We are trying to buy a building in Brighton, so at the moment we're in a serviced office over there, and that doesn't lend itself to the lettings business particularly, because you can't have a shop front in a serviced office building. It's fine for block management and surveying and all the rest of the things, but lettings is traditionally that kind of pictures in the window type arrangement, and from a marketing point of view, it's hard to get your name out there, you know, from a kind of visual point of view. You can do loads of SEO and the rest of it, but some people like to just come in still, don't they? Or see you on the high street, footfall, and see your logo and your big orange and blue CC, and all the rest of it, be reminded who you are.
Well, like the one you've got in Eastbourne, there's a bit like that. In the triangle.
Exactly. I'm a big fan of branding. Like you have the mugs on the top on.
A golf balls. How is your golf?
Not too bad.
Not too bad. That's good.
Probably worse than it was because there's less time. But so we're buying an office in Brighton. We're hoping to shortly, and get the guys out of there into that. Or if that falls through, then we'll look at renting somewhere for a bit or something. And then the London office, obviously, we'll see what that comes of that really. And it might be that central London isn't the best place for us to be based. That's the whole point of trialling these things. You might find that Croydon's better because then it better services Haywards Heath and London at the same time.
There's loads of places you could dip into, isn't there, to try.
Exactly.
But that's the good thing about service offices like that. It's not a massive cost. You haven't bought the building, so you can just try it and see if it works. And then you can change your address pretty easily.
Exactly that. And you know, we'd look at other acquisitions as time goes by as well, and not necessarily geographical. We've looked at things in Birmingham and Bristol and stuff like that, other businesses probably a bit smaller than we are, but similar structure and size, so that we could then buy them and amalgamate them into the existing operations. So that would be like, you know, just a completely new area essentially.
And at that point though, you've got to have someone working that area, haven't you? I mean, like the London thing, it's good to have that London address, but if you've got no one working the London area, then people they smell a rat, I think. You've got to have people in there networking or talking. Exactly
that. And when, again, that's part and parcel of my job, really, to network and expand those contacts in London. But the type of business that you might buy if you were looking at ones in like Bristol or Birmingham or somewhere like that had to be a fairly sizable business. It's no good buying one where the owner is stuck in the business and they're effectively a property manager or the lettings manager or the surveyor, because they'll want to retire or they want out of it. So you buy that business and then you've got to replace that person. And you need to be buying a business that didn't rely upon that person being in it, and in that way it's a bit more of a larger corporate structure, so it's easier for you to amalgamate that, because people aren't expecting, like, I don't know, Dave the owner or whatever. Well, we always dealt with Dave. And now Dave's gone, whereas if Dave wasn't really involved in the day-to-day running, that's an easier transition.
Definitely. So much has happened in the last year, isn't it? There's lots of growth, and hopefully that continue for the next year as well. Let's talk a bit about, because you've got a new sort of sideline of doing podcasts, which is very cool. Hopefully I could be on one day. And also you've got sort of like an entrepreneurial YouTube channel and sort of advise other businesses on their approaches and things like that.
So we started up early April, which we've been working on for a little while in the lead up to that.
Yeah.
A new YouTube channel. I had one previously called Frugal Finance, if anyone wants to go and check that out, but I've kind of stopped doing that now. That was a lockdown hobby.
Right.
And that helped people with their personal finances and managing money. This one is really aimed at business owners or entrepreneurial people, or maybe higher level management, and they perhaps have some goals that they want to set, and they're not too sure how to reach those goals or whether they're going in the right direction for their business. So they'll fill in a form and then they come on the podcast, and we basically just have an open and frank chat about their journey and how they're going to reach those goals.
Okay.
And then I can give them my thoughts on it as an outsider. I'm not giving necessarily like the guru advice or whatever and telling you exactly what to do, but you know, it's very easy to get wrapped up in your own business and not actually see the problems that may arise. So yeah, my job is really in that podcast to be a bit inquisitive, prod them a little bit, and maybe, you know, kind of give them something that maybe someone hasn't told them. You know, like, I'm not sure that's going to work. Well, yes, a bit of honesty sometimes, isn't it? Exactly.
And like, you're right, some businesses, they just get so stuck in it, and having a sort of an impartial voice coming from another person is actually really welcome sometimes, because even if they don't get anything from it, but I'm sure they will, it's just nice to talk about that at that level. We often do other networking groups. I've joined others where you have like you have a think tank, basically. It's a bit like a think tank, isn't it, for just one person? Yeah.
It's exactly like that, really. I've got estate agents coming on. I had a haulage company. I've got people that run beauticians, all that sort of stuff. And they're all in different bits of their journey. And they're like, oh, I don't know how to upscale my business, or I want to buy the building I'm in right now because I think that would be a good thing to do, or I've got some pain in the backside staff members and the environment's a bit toxic and I don't know how to handle it. It's those sort of issues that perhaps people need to just thrash out and talk, really. And I just thought that it was a good thing to do, to have that filmed on a podcast, because it should then help other people. It's a good bit of brand awareness for ourselves, for that person coming on as well. And they get to tell me a bit about their business to start with and so on, so you can use those clips for your own social media if you want to. But yeah, the advice stuff is really where that's at. And and then mixed in between those videos are kind of more sort of tips and guidance, I suppose, for entrepreneurs. Like I did one that did like how to build yourself a business and not just a job. So like a lot of people go out to set up their own business, but then what they end up doing is creating themselves just a profitable job. So they're just stuck in the business. They might as well have just been a pay-way employee.
Absolutely.
So how do you go from that to a business owner? But there's other ones on there about how to get out of debt, good debt, bad debt, and managing property and all the rest of it. So
I watched one the other day. You were explaining the difference between gross and net profit, and some people just don't. Well, actually, you quite rightly pointed out, and I've watched this before. Branson didn't even know, did he, at one point?
Nope.
Sat in a board meeting, someone said to him, "You don't know the difference between gross and net profit, do you?" And he went, "Actually, no, I don't." So it had to be explained.
Well, he's probably the most famous person that has ever admitted that they didn't know that.
Not many people would.
I'm sure most people at his level probably would keep that to themselves and tell their PA or something. But definitely, a lot of people don't understand it, and it still baffles people. And people use the same terminology, like turnover and profit can often be a misinterpretation. Net profit or profit is turnover. Which one are you talking about? So
it's confusing, isn't it? It's confusing for anyone. What's the podcast channel? What's this YouTube channel called?
So it's Matthew Cox Enterprise. So if you just go to Google, Google, you can probably get to it. If you go to YouTube, which is owned by Google, and just type that in, then you should be able to find the channel.
Matthew Cox Enterprise. Okay, so everyone get out there and subscribe to Matt's channel. Of course, if anyone wants any advice in property management as well, and lettings and things like that, so with people on your podcast, would you accept any business? You don't mind. You think you can advise or help people on anything? Anybody
at all can apply. So you just ping us an email, info@ MatthewCox.biz. It's Matthew with 2 T's.
Okay.
There will be a website to follow shortly, same address, MatthewCox.biz.
Okay.
And you fill in a form, and that is really about setting your goals and a little bit of information about how many people you employ or your turnover, what you do with your time in the business, all that sort of stuff. So I can analyse what your goals are, or your issues, or your hurdles, or whatever it is that you're going to have in achieving your goals, so that when we have the podcast, I'm kind of armed with some questions ready to go already. So I mean, I've got people who are even pay-way employees, so it's not just necessarily business owners. I've got I believe Helen Moss is coming on, and she's probably going to be like, how do I, because she's a business development manager, how do I expand my network and the rest of it? Hopefully we can talk about that and maybe set some goals for her, or she might have some goals. So it's not necessarily because I'm set myself up as a builder or a coffee shop owner or whatever it might be, or an estate agency. This can be for pay-way employees who might just have a goal to set. Obviously it's business orientated,
of course.
But so hopefully
good for you. No, good for you.
Anybody can come on. There's no problem at all.
It sounds like a good approach. I've never heard that before. It's almost like like a think tank, but online advice live in front of everyone, so everyone else can hear the advice that you're chucking to each other. And that's good, I think. I
suppose it's a tinge of business coach, but I'm not really coaching anybody, I suppose.
No.
It's more kind of like, let's have a chat like we're mates down the pub.
Yes.
Then I'll tell you where I think maybe your plan might need a bit of tinkering with.
Yes, tinkering. That's a good idea. Good approach. Yeah, I like that. Thanks, Matt. I don't know. Is there anything else you want to cover?
Well, I mean, it's been a pleasure coming on again and doing a bit of a recap. I mean, there's loads of other things, and we haven't got time for everything, but we've started other business adventures and things that people can follow me on the Matthew Cox Enterprise, or we're on Facebook and on Instagram as well. So you can find out about the other business adventures that we've done. And some various networkings as well. I'll give a shout out to the Barrow.
Barrow Club. So, I go there, as you know. It's a great day, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. And
it's next week, I think. Next one, isn't it?
24th of May. If anybody wants, there's a few tickets left. And I'm actually doing a talk about how you can better utilise your time and outsource some of your more administrational tasks to people. So,
excellent. I look forward to that.
Want to learn a bit more about the We Group and the other bit of the business that we run.
I mean, that networking is great, and the Barrow Club. Just to shout out about that, it's I like it because you move round tables. I like it because it's on a Friday afternoon. It's at the Grand in Brighton. You can have a glass of wine. It's kind of you never go back to work afterwards, or some may do.
Depends how many glasses of wine you have.
That's right. Yeah, but it's a great day, isn't it?
I love the moving in between courses is a really good idea, because you can, with the nicest respect to anybody, you can get stuck with two people left and right that maybe you don't have the right synergy with, or they're in a similar industry and it feels a bit like you're kind of clashing, or whatever it might be, or maybe they're talking to the people on their left and right, and therefore you're left in the middle. The fact that you up sticks and change and sit with different people in between each course really does alleviate that.
And it also gives you value for money as well, because you get to speak to more people.
Exactly.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Exactly. Because the networking beforehand, where it's open on the floor, I always find that's fairly difficult type of networking, because you'll get the people that know each other and they kind of gather like they're magnets. And it can be quite hard to sort of go in and just introduce yourself, especially if you're not overly extrovert in that nature. Moving around is
good,
a
isn't it?
Idea.
Networking's a funny thing. I've been doing it for a long time, as you have, I know, and it is awkward when you go into a room and there's a group of people and you feel like I can't go into their conversation because I don't know them. They could be, but someone once told me, actually Chris Mansfield, who helped start the Barrow Club, that always just go in and just say, look, can I come and network with you? You're there to network. Don't feel like you're butting in. It's actually, they'd actually like it that you are butting in, because they probably want to talk to someone else as well.
Exactly that. You'll be surprised that people have paid money to go to these events, and they're doing it because they want to grow their network, and therefore they don't want to talk to the person that they saw at a similar event last week. Realistically, they might start that off because it's an easy way of getting into the flow of conversation, but realistically they want to learn about other people's business businesses. And it's funny you say, like, I've been doing it a long time. I really actually got keen into networking in 2021. So
okay, not long, right?
I didn't always see the value in it, to be honest, because it can be quite a lot of time out of the business and the rest of it. As the business has grown, obviously I've been like, it's a really important avenue for us to do. But it's Paul Britton, who's the other co-founder with the Barrow. He said to me, you've kind of burst onto the networking scene, Matt. And I thought, that's strange really, because he's been doing it a long time and he'd sort of not really come across me before. And I think that if people give it a try, they will actually quite like it, and you do see the value. And it's I know Norman Mayhew of Sussex Signs, he always says about sowing seeds, and I think networking is definitely that. You will, if you're the guy that goes there and think, or the girl or lady goes there and thinks, I'm going to pay 50 quid for a meal out and I'm going to get some work out of it, then you're probably in the wrong place. You need to go and sow those seeds and build those relationships with people, and then they will start to trust you and give you work. In
fact, it's farming, not something else. Can't remember what the other word was.
Hopefully Norman will put it in the comments, but it's something about farming and sowing seeds.
I remember that.
You can fill the rest in.
That's it. Thanks, Norm. Have a look at that. All right, I think we'll wrap it up there, Matt. Thank you very much. It was really good to see you again. And we'll, please, if anyone wants to get in touch with Matt, they can do that. We'll put the details underneath the podcast for both of those, for your Charles Cox Property Group and the enterprises. Thanks again. And we'll see you all for another podcast soon.
Yeah,
cheers,
brilliant.
Mate.
Thank
you.
Nick.